This is the Frost Cutlery Night Guard 2 fixed blade. It's model number FC-114. You can see that in the packaging here. Also shown there. They have some specs in the box as well. Frost also offers a Night Guard 1, which is model number FC-113. It has a different blade shape. The Night Guard series knives are comparatively low cost, meant to be friendly to the everyman's budget. Jim Frost, who is a knife collector at heart, founded his first knife business in 1972. He later started Frost Cutlery in 1978. This particular knife is just one in an extensive lineup from them. It's typical for Frost Cutlery insofar as they always seem to keep affordability in mind. Frost owns numerous other brands as well. And while Frost is more of a mass market brand, some of the others might be considered premium in comparison. Frost is based in Tennessee, but the Night Guard 2 is made in China. You can see the blade here. It is marked China. So no surprises there. Importing knives has been a feature of their business for decades. To my knowledge, the Night Guard 2 is still in production. And in terms of its design and shape and so forth, its construction, we have a full tang. See the tang there between the handle scales. This is actually a full tang, but also a full width tang. It's approximately the same width as the handle scales. We'll talk about that a little bit more. These handle scales are aluminum. They have a diamond cut or a cross cut. I believe Frost calls these rainbow cut. We have this clip point, tapered swedge, saber grind, kind of a mid saber, and it is hollow ground. I have a ricasso here. Not really, probably more of just a structural feature. I don't think it would be, yeah, that's, unless you have very small hands, that would be kind of not very useful for your finger. We have this integral single key-on protection. And this finish is mirror polished. Quite nicely done, actually. It's 440 stainless steel, presumably 440A, since they don't specify. This knife weighs approximately 9.7 ounces. If we measure things out here, we're looking at 12 inches overall. Blade length 7 inches. Actually a hair over 7. Approximately 7 inches. Handle length is a little over 4 3/4, so call that about 4.8 plus. I'll put the specific measurements in the video for you, annotate that. We have a blade thickness a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. Yeah. Height of the blade at its widest, looking like a little over 1.5 inches. I'll measure that in centimeters later. So, in theory, a knife of this size offers a lot of utility. Got that full tang, big belly, hollow grind, sort of a stereotypical Bowie style, plenty of reach, that 7-inch blade. Has a nice balance. Let's see if I could balance this for you guys. Yeah, just about where the handle meets the ricasso. Nothing to complain about there in terms of the balance. It's lightweight for its size. Maybe a martial artist could use this as a fighting knife if you had those kinds of skills. I think I could say it's nice, pretty sharp. Yeah, that's the factory edge, and that's just going right through. So, nothing to complain about there for a factory edge. This knife is very slicey, that hollow grind, and did a nice job on the sharpening. Of course, we have to keep in mind this is only 440. As I said, probably 440A equivalent, maybe 440B. It's not going to be the best at holding an edge, but it should be easy to resharpen, even with natural stones. In terms of hardness, it's probably in the range of 55 HRC to 58 HRC. By today's standards, I'm going to emphasize today's standards, we're talking about a relatively inexpensive entry-level knife steel. It's widely available, it's lower carbon, but you know, that's partly why it can be made at a lower cost. It's easier and faster to work with, softer steel. Doesn't wear out factory tooling so quickly. Nowadays, some folks might dismiss 440 as a knife steel, even 440C. On the other hand, 440 series stainless steel knives were considered pretty exotic actually, in the 1960s. So these steels have a track record. They can perform even if they're not as highly regarded today. The thickness is pretty good. It should hold up okay against lateral forces, as long as they're modest. I wouldn't get too carried away trying to use this knife as a pry bar or a wood splitter. Sure, it could split some wood, but batoning this knife, given its thickness and given the steel and so forth, if you were to put this through a knot in hardwood, it might get a little bit ugly. Even if it doesn't break, it could still bend rather severely. The tip, get a look at that. Yeah, so not a flimsy tip, but I wouldn't call it robust either. As the tapered swedge showing through. Yeah. Again, we have our China stamp there. And on the other side we have floss cutlery. Yeah, tapered swedge, so great for penetration. Could use this to dispatch maybe a feral hog if you're a hunter. Well, I think it has the potential for pretty devastating thrust. Maybe not if you're trying to stab through sheet metal. That integral key-on. It's a nice feature. Now, this handle is quite narrow. See? And I have, for a man, medium-sized hands, average-sized hands, and it doesn't fill my hand in a satisfying way. It's just flat and skinny. See that handle again. There are no swells. And it's just flat. No swells, no contours laterally, which is unfortunate, because these handles would benefit immensely, I think, from palm swells. The edges are a little bit rough too. If I were to use this knife seriously, I suspect my hand would be fatigued quickly, maybe even blistered from rubbing and friction against this texture. As I said, these handle scales are aluminum, so I'll give them points for durability. I appreciate the texture for the most part. I think, as they call this rainbow cut. I can get a close view of that cut. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So you see there are some darker sections as well on these scales. No texture there, so that's kind of slippery. Yeah, I think using this knife outdoors in anything other than perfect weather, there's going to be some serious issues with thermal issues. In direct sunlight, all this metal between your steel and aluminum is just going to soak up heat from radiation. And, you know, whether it's hot or cold, it's going to be highly conductive. So if you're out there on a cold, wet, snowy day without gloves, this would be very unpleasant to hold. It's good to see here we have a lanyard hole. Yeah. With the factory scales, I wouldn't want to be swinging this blade around without a lanyard. Feels like it might get away from you. Fortunately, these scales can be removed. Let me see. We have, maybe that's not coming through. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so you can see there. There's some star heads on those screws. So it looks like, you know, a Torx bit would do the trick there. So yeah, some suitable replacement scales like micarta scales would be a huge improvement in terms of comfort and confidence. It would make the knife much more usable if you replace these scales. You know, the knife has utility, but as it is, particularly with those scales, I think it lacks usability. So, examining as we have things here, you can see why it's less expensive than other knives of this size and type. You can see the fitment here. Yeah, that's coming through quite nicely. And then up here, I hit my camera here, but yeah, you can see the light coming through there. And it's gonna show up right. Oh, yeah, there we go. You can see right here. Yeah. So what I'm getting at, we've got numerous gaps between the tang and the handle scales. And this is more than just a cosmetic issue. These gaps and crevices will collect debris, mud. You know, if you're out there on a hunt and or even preparing something in the camp kitchen, you might get bits of meat in there and whatever else. So, in cold weather, you might get a layer of ice forming in that space, those spaces. So none of that is desirable by any means. And as I was showing, these handles are not flush with the tang, or vice versa. That's not good. There's you can feel that edge as you place your finger there, and these are going to be potential hot spots for blisters in my view. Now, if we take a look at the grinds, take a look at the tip here. Also, yeah, that's nice right there. So, okay, great, yeah. So here, the grinds look even. They do look even. So that's a definite plus. Now the sheath that we have with this knife is this here. This sheath is made of 1680D nylon. This is a very durable synthetic fabric. It's basically the strongest and heaviest nylon fabric. Zoom in here, you can see that, how that looks. So it's, you see, it's very tightly woven like a basket. This fabric has high tensile strength under stress. The stitching, see the stitching there? Yeah, under stress, that stitching is almost certainly going to fail before the fabric tears. This 1680D nylon is resistant to abrasion. That's a nice thing, nice plus there. And water repellent, naturally. So it's quite suitable as a sheath material as long as it's stitched well and reinforced at stress points. This sheath does appear to be adequate in terms of its construction. We have a couple of rivets here and here, kind of the bare minimum, but present nonetheless. Now inside we have, it's probably going to be difficult to see, you can just, yeah, you can catch it there. So if you're seeing right inside there is a stiff plastic insert to protect the fabric from the blade and to help the sheath hold its shape. We have this snap closure. Seems to be solid. Opens and closes just fine. Now, there's definitely, you hear that rattle or see this movement. So yeah, there's some movement. That's not ideal, but the strap does keep the knife more or less restrained. I've got it upside down and it's in there still. We have this belt loop. Looks like it'll fit. Let's see. Yeah, well, let's measure that. Couple inches, that's about a, yeah, so that'll fit probably your 2-inch belt without trouble. Of course, the placement of this loop, where it is here, that's going to mean it's going to sit a bit higher up on the hips. So, you know, the handle might jab your ribs. Of course, some people prefer sheaths that ride high and tight. So if you'd like that, then this will be up your alley. Put that aside. So, Overall, I'd say it's a mediocre knife with a usable, cost-effective sheath. It's not terrible for the price. This was a low-cost purchase. We have to keep that in mind. However, there are other stainless steel knives in this price bracket that are much better. In the future, I'll cover some alternatives offering value well out of proportion to their low cost. I think there's some incredible bargains in the knife world today. The knife guard's handle scales, yeah, those leave a lot to be desired. At the same time, if you like knives that you can make your own as a project, then it's a deficiency that can be remedied. I have fun with that. So that's the Frost Cutlery Night Guard 2, model FC-114. Thanks for watching.